Hi, I'm Mickey Straub, and this message is for the residents of Burr Ridge, which is a very special place, a little southwest of Chicago. As the mayor-elect, this Friday wrap, which is kind of a test run, is part of my campaign promise to improve the communication with residents and to let you know a little bit more about what's going on in the village. And it's part of a bigger campaign to put the residents first. It may not be possible every Friday, but we'll try. Now, last Saturday, there was actually a dedication for a new park called the Savoy Club Park on 79th Street that included the planting of a tree for Arbor Day week by Village Arborist Gary Gatlin and attended by most of the trustees. It was a very unique private and public project that spans 7 years with the help of the Pleasantdale Park District and was largely spearheaded by Trustee John Manieri. Kudos to John and the kids and the parents and neighbors who are going to enjoy it for many years. That day, I also had the chance to meet the owner of Compass Truck Sales, which is right along North Frontage Road, and actually get a tour of the building. Now, there is one successful and growing company in our village, and that's really going places, literally and figuratively. Then on Monday, there was a relatively short village board meeting that included the swearing in of 2 new police officers. That was Megan Smith of Tinley Park and Joshua Heller of Countryside. Now, most items for that meeting were on what was called the consent agenda. Those are topics that were already previously reviewed and discussed and voted on and kind of in block. Now, for a complete list, you can always go online of all those topics that were covered during that meeting. Now, my swearing-in ceremony isn't until May 13th, but unfortunately, I was already receiving some criticism at that meeting for things like wanting to use the term mayor. Now, here's the irony. According to state statute, the head of a village is called the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, and that person has a choice to call it either village president, like you can see on the ballots, or mayor. That's why it was kind of a waste of time when the board just debated and changed it earlier this year, because it's really up to state statute. Now, for the record, I chose mayor because, like one resident told me, it sounds more like a community, and that's frankly what most of the residents we surveyed prefer. Besides that, we already have a president, and I find it a lot less confusing. In addition, during that meeting, I was actually criticized for electioneering, they said, which is defined by campaigning within 100 feet of the entrance to a polling place. Now, this also gets a little bit on the confusing side because the sign in front, right outside the door, read you had to be 100 feet from the door, and that is, of course, measured by 35 paces from the door, according to state statute and the manuals that the election judges use. But some election officials say it's within a 100-foot radius, and that applies to going through walls and windows and blinds, which is kind of crazy, but there's a difference there. And it's no wonder why some residents are confused. Frankly, I am a little bit myself still. But you can be sure that it was 45 minutes that I spent that day that frankly changed my life. And it opened up my eyes to really the petty side sometimes of local politics and how confusing some of the government rules can be. The hits kept on coming that night. By the end of the meeting, frankly, I was stunned and speechless. Matter of fact, I even passed on the opportunity to even say anything in reply. But if you ever want to teach your children how to not lose graciously, you may want them to watch reruns of that particular meeting. I also want to promise you that you can be assured that I will try to make the board meetings much more uplifting and unifying. And by Wednesday, the tide had already turned in my world when I had the pleasure of having lunch with a resident named Vijay Singh. That's not to be confused with a professional golfer, who is a very successful and wise businessman and quite a philanthropist and altruist. He and his wife, a pediatric neurologist, are actually moving both of their businesses into the village, which I thought was also great news. Now, Vijay and I ended up even ordering the same lunch that day, and we had so much in common that we actually joked with the waitress that we were actually twins. I don't think she believed it, but sure felt that way. Here are some other highlights for this week. I was able to stop by the Burr Ridge car care along the frontage road along Route 83 by the Shell gas station for the first time in 25 years. Shame on me. I just want to thank them for those great quotes they always put out front every week, and to thank them for being in the village. That was kind of neat to have a chance to meet them, and they were appreciative of my stop. I also stopped by McNaughton Builders, who happened to have built our house in 1987, to connect with them and also to be able to open up some communication. But probably the neatest stop I had of the week was at Mars. Now, for years I've been driving past that place. Finally decided to stop by and introduce myself as the mayor-elect. I was lucky enough to meet the general manager and one of the key women that run the ice cream distribution. And I never knew that right here in Burr Ridge is where Mars makes all of the ice cream bars for the entire country, in particular the Snickers bars and the Dove bars. That is quite a title, I think, for our village, and one that we should probably brag about. Now, I hope you enjoyed this inaugural test video to start opening up communication with the residents. But like I said during the campaign, one of my goals is to take the job out of the boardroom and into the community. Please stay in contact. Let us know how you like this particular video, and continue to enjoy our very special place.